So you've had a full night's sleep. You've eaten your meals, maybe even had your morning coffee, and yet your body feels like it's dragging a backpack full of bricks. If you're a vegetarian and you've experienced this kind of fatigue, or maybe you're experiencing it now, you're not alone. In fact, it's one of the most common frustrations I hear about when people first switch to a meat free lifestyle. And it can even plague you after you've been vegetarian for a while. Here's the twist: it's not because vegetarian diets are bad or incomplete. It's usually because the body is adjusting to a different nutritional rhythm, one that needs a little more strategy than most of us realize. When someone eats an omnivorous diet, a lot of the nutrients that fuel energy production come bundled neatly in animal based foods. Meat, fish, eggs, and dairy provide nutrients like iron, vitamin B12, and certain amino acids in very concentrated and easy to absorb forms. When those foods are taken out of the equation, the body still needs these nutrients. So, how do you get it as a vegetarian? Suddenly, it has to work a little harder to find and use them. That's when and where fatigue creeps in. It's not about calories or even about protein alone. It's about how your body extracts energy from the foods you give it. So let's take iron as an example. Iron is the mineral that allows your red blood cells to carry oxygen, literally the reason your muscles and brain can function with energy. In meat, iron exists in a form called heme iron, which your body absorbs like a sponge soaking up water. In plants, you'll find non-heme iron, which is more like trying to squeeze water through a straw. It's there, but your body absorbs less of it. Now, if you're not mindful about pairing that plant-based iron with foods rich in vitamin C, like beans with peppers or spinach with citrus, the absorption rate drops even lower. That's one of the hidden reasons vegetarians often feel tired, even if they're technically getting enough iron on paper. And then there's vitamin B12, which is basically the ignition key for your energy metabolism. Without it, your body can't convert the food you eat into usable energy. Here's the catch: plants don't produce B12. I bet you didn't know that. It doesn't produce B12 at all. They don't. Plants do not. Historically, humans may have gotten tiny amounts from unwashed vegetables or natural water sources, but in the modern world, with sanitation, thankfully, thank God, which means vegetarians have to be proactive about getting B12 from fortified foods or supplements. If we don't, fatigue sets in, and it's the kind of fatigue you can't just sleep off. It's brain fog, mood swings, low motivation, the entire emotional package. Here's where I see many people get tripped up. They switch to vegetarian eating thinking I'll just load up on pasta, bread, salads, maybe throw in some veggie burgers, and I'll be fine. And at first, they do feel lighter because they're eating more fiber, less saturated fat, maybe losing some weight. But weeks or months later, they're yawning by mid afternoon. They can't push through workouts and they wonder, what's wrong with me? I thought this diet was supposed to make me healthier. That's when fatigue story really hits home. And many people want to switch back to eating meat instead of trying to work out the problem. It isn't about abandoning vegetarianism, it's about refining it. When you start treating food not just as fuel, but as a toolkit, fatigue becomes manageable and even reversible. For example, protein isn't just about muscles, it stabilizes blood sugar, which means your energy stays steady instead of spiking and crashing. If a vegetarian meal is all about carbs and veggies, but skims on protein, you'll feel hungry and drained within an hour. But if you build your plate with beans, lentils, eggs, tofu, or Greek yogurt alongside those grains and veggies, suddenly your energy lasts. It's like upgrading from a battery that dies after an hour to one that powers you all day. And you won't feel that hunger. It'll keep you satiated for hours. Here's another layer we don't talk about enough. Lifestyle amplifies all of this. If you're active, running, lifting, or even just managing a busy day, your nutrient needs aren't average. They're higher. Your muscles are turning over more iron, your nervous system is calling for more B vitamins, and your recovery depends on omega 3s and antioxidants, which you will be missing if you don't get the right nutrients in your diet. Without enough of those, fatigue doesn't just mean I'm tired. It starts showing up as sore muscles, irritability, even a higher risk of getting sick. And that's not a vegetarian problem, that's a nutritional problem. Fatigue is often one of the first symptoms to improve when vegetarians tweak their nutrition. So that's the great news. Once you tweak your nutrition, things will start to pick up. Your energy will start to come back. So that's the wonderful part about it. It's temporary. I've seen people go from dragging themselves through the day to suddenly feeling a steady hum of energy. And I was one of those people. I had the same problem. Simply by paying attention to nutrients that don't always make the Instagram highlight reel. It doesn't require exotic superfoods or complicated meal plans. It just means asking, where's my protein source and how do I get it? And always incorporating that into your meal. Where's my iron coming from today? Always getting your iron in your meals. Am I including something fortified with B12? Always including B12 in your meal. Am I balancing my meal so I don't crash in the afternoon? You need to ask yourself these questions so you can balance your vegetarian meals appropriately for what you need. Fatigue doesn't have to be the price of going vegetarian. It's not about questioning whether this way of eating works. It does. The science is clear. Vegetarians often have lower risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even some cancers. But to enjoy those benefits without dragging through the day, you've got to align your diet with your body's needs. Once you build meals that nourish your body instead of just fill your belly, the fatigue fades. And what you're left with is exactly what drew you to vegetarianism in the first place. Energy, vitality, and a way of eating that feels good inside and out. If you've been struggling with energy on a vegetarian diet, don't take it as a sign you're doing something wrong. Take it as your body's way of asking for more because that's what it's doing. More iron, more protein to keep your blood sugar steady, more B12 from fortified foods or supplements. When you give your body those tools, fatigue isn't the headline anymore. Thriving is. And if this video resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe for more plant-powered diet tips. I'll see you in the next video.